Welcome to Module 4, High Agency Thinking. This module is about one of the most valuable traits you can build in the AI era, the ability to move forward without waiting for perfect conditions. High agency is the belief and behavior pattern that says, there is probably a way and I'm willing to find it. Not because life is easy, not because every door opens politely, not because obstacles vanish when you put on a blazer and drink enough coffee. High agency means you stop treating uncertainty like a stop sign. You learn how to work with reality as it is. You take ownership. You ask better questions. You move with speed. You make decisions. You adapt when the first path does not work. A one person empire cannot be built by someone who needs constant rescue, certainty, or permission. It is built by someone who can look at a messy situation and say, okay, what can I do from here? That is where your power comes back. This module shows you how to develop ownership, self-trust, speed, responsibility, and decision-making power. Those are not motivational words. Those are operating skills. Ownership means you stay connected to the outcome. Self-trust means you become someone who can rely on yourself. Speed means you do not waste months waiting for the perfect mood, plan, or cosmic permission slip. Responsibility means you focus on your next useful move instead of outsourcing your future to circumstances. Decision-making power means you can choose, act, learn, and adjust. High agency thinking does not mean pretending obstacles are not real. It means refusing to let obstacles become your identity. Stop waiting. Start moving. Build agency. High agency thinking starts with a simple sentence: there is probably a way. That sentence does not guarantee the path will be easy. It does not promise the first attempt will work. It does not mean you will enjoy every step. Some steps are deeply unglamorous. Some steps look like spreadsheets and awkward emails. But high agency keeps you in motion. You act with ownership. You work with reality. You ask better questions. You find a path forward. And you refuse helplessness. Low agency says, I cannot do anything until someone fixes this for me. High agency says, what can I influence? What can I learn? What can I try? Who can I ask? What is the next move? That question changes everything. Let's compare the two patterns. Low agency waits for certainty. High agency acts before perfect clarity. Low agency needs permission. High agency takes ownership. Low agency blames conditions. High agency works with constraints. Low agency avoids decisions. High agency makes decisions. Low agency stays stuck. High agency creates momentum. Build the skills, build the systems, become the empire. This is not about shaming yourself for past hesitation. Everyone has moments where they freeze, doubt, delay, or spiral into dramatic tab management. The goal is awareness. Once you can see the pattern, you can interrupt it. When you catch yourself waiting for perfect certainty, ask, what is the smallest intelligent move I can make right now? Agency is built one move at a time. High agency people tend to practice 5 core traits: ownership, resourcefulness, decisiveness, adaptability, follow through. Ownership means they take responsibility for the next useful move. Resourcefulness means they use what they have instead of obsessing over what they lack. Decisiveness means they do not stay trapped in endless analysis. Adaptability means they can change the plan without abandoning the mission. Follow-through means they complete what matters and learn from the result. These traits are not personality gifts, reserved for a chosen few wearing cinematic lighting. They are behavior patterns, and behavior patterns can be trained. Agency is a behavior pattern. Practice it until it becomes your default. No one is coming to hand you your future. That might sound harsh, but it is actually freeing. Because it means you do not have to wait for someone to choose you before you start becoming capable. You can act before you fully feel ready. You can build proof before you have a perfect title. You can practice the skill before you have the perfect brand. You can send the message, create the offer draft, publish the useful idea, improve the message, or ask the better question. Self-trust grows through action, not through fantasizing, not through over-planning, not through becoming the CEO of a color-coded notebook. Motion reveals the path. Permission is often self-generated. High agency thinking does not deny constraints. Limited time is real. Limited money is real. Limited knowledge is real. Limited confidence is real. But constraints are not always final. A constraint is a design problem. If you have limited time, you need focus. If you have limited money, you need resourcefulness. If you have limited knowledge, you need learning loops. If you have limited confidence, you need evidence. High agency asks, what can I do from here? Not from the fantasy version of your life, not from the imaginary future where everything is calm, funded, and aesthetically arranged. From here, this is where real builders begin. The agency loop has 5 steps. First, notice the problem. Second, define the outcome. Third, take the next step. Fourth, learn and adapt. Fifth, repeat. This is how agency compounds. You notice what needs attention. You clarify what result matters. You take a useful step, even if it is small. Build the skills, build the systems, become the empire. You study what happened. Then you adjust and continue. Most people want confidence before action. High agency people understand that confidence often follows action. You do not need to feel powerful before you move. You become powerful by proving to yourself that you can move, learn, adjust, and keep going. Agency compounds through repetition. Resourcefulness is one of the most practical forms of power. Resourceful people use what they have. They find leverage. They ask for help strategically. They learn fast. They turn limits into design. They do not sit in a corner emotionally filing complaints with the universe. They ask, what is available? What is useful? What can be repurposed? Who has solved something similar? What tool can help? What can I simplify? Resourcefulness matters because one-person empire builders will always face constraints. You may not have the biggest team, you may not have the most unlimited capital, you may not have a perfect roadmap, but you can build the habit of finding a way. Resourcefulness beats excuses. You will not always have full certainty. That is not a personal failure. That is adulthood with better lighting. Business, money, content, offers, clients, AI tools, and markets all involve incomplete information. High agency people learn to make the best decision with current information. Then adjust quickly. They do not worship indecision and call it being careful. They gather enough information to reduce reckless risk. Then they move. Speed matters because feedback matters. The faster you make a reasonable decision, the faster reality teaches you something useful. Clean decisions create momentum, and momentum creates options. High agency shows up in the way you operate every day. You bring solutions, not just problems. You improve the process. You own the outcome. You communicate early. You reduce friction. This is true whether you are employed, freelancing, consulting, building a business, or learning a new skill. A low agency person says, "This is broken." A high agency person says, "This is broken. Here is what I think is causing it. Here are 2 possible fixes. Which direction should we take?" That shift makes you valuable. Useful people become valuable people, and valuable people create more options. In business, high agency becomes a competitive advantage. You test before perfecting. You sell before overbuilding. You systemize what works. You take responsibility for results. You keep moving. This matters because most people hide inside preparation. They want the perfect logo before they make the offer. They want the perfect course before they validate demand. They want the perfect funnel before they talk to real humans. Builders move before they feel finished. Not recklessly, not chaotically, not with a burn it all down and see what happens strategy. They move intelligently. They test, they listen, they improve. That is how businesses are built. Self-trust is not something you magically wake up with. Self-trust is built. You keep promises to yourself. You handle what shows up. You survive imperfect action. You learn from evidence. Every time you follow through on a meaningful commitment, you are teaching yourself, I can trust me. Every time you take a useful action despite fear, you are collecting proof. Every time you recover from a mistake without collapsing into a full identity crisis, you are building emotional strength. Confidence follows proof. Do not wait to feel confident. Build evidence. Self-trust is not a mood, it is a track record. When you feel stuck, questions are your steering wheel. High agency people ask, what is the next best step? What outcome matters? What can I control? What skill do I need? What creates leverage? These questions pull your attention away from helplessness and back toward movement. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your next move. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this requiring of me? Instead of asking, why am I not ready? Ask, what would make me 1% more prepared today? Better questions create better futures, and better futures are built by people who refuse to stay frozen. Here is your action step. Identify one area where you have been waiting for permission. Maybe you have been waiting to post content, waiting to build an offer, waiting to use AI more seriously, waiting to reach out to a potential client, waiting to learn the skill, waiting to make a decision. Write it down. Then write one action you can take without permission this week. Not someday, not when Mercury gets its act together. This week. Make the action small enough to complete, but meaningful enough to build evidence. Ownership begins with one move. Now that you understand high agency thinking, it is time to choose direction. Because agency without direction can become motion without strategy. In Module 5, we will focus on choosing your empire direction. You will start identifying your strongest skills, interests, market opportunities, and income goals. This matters because the next stage is not just moving faster, it is moving with intention. High agency gives you power. Direction gives you that power, a target. For now, remember this. There is probably a way. You are willing to find it.